Hello, my soul-seeking friends. It's Shanna. Thank you so much for listening to Sense of Soul podcast. Enlightening conversations with like-minded souls from around the world, sharing their journey of finding their light within, turning pain into purpose, and awakening to their true sense of soul. If you like what you hear, show me some love and rate, like, and subscribe. And consider becoming a Sense of Soul Patreon member, where you will get ad-free episodes, monthly circles, and much more. Now go grab your coffee, open your mind, heart, and soul. It's time to awaken. Today on Sense of Soul, I have Bald Solomon. He is the author of the Path series, a unique self-help fiction genre inspired by personal experiences. His pen name, Bald Solomon, is a balance between the yin and the yang, the overt and subtle, action and introspective. In his books, he crafted stories that blend action with the pursuit of wisdom and connection with personal evolution. And he's with us today to tell us all about it. So please welcome Bald Solomon. How are you?
Hey, very good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. And so should I call you Jack or Bald Solomon?
No, let's go with bald. Yep,
All right.
I fully embrace the Bald Solomon moniker. Shanna, in fact, in the Path series, the names are carefully chosen. There, all the major characters are based on biblical characters. Their names
Oh,
are,
yeah.
and it informs the character and informs the reader. In fact, one of my favorite, early on, I had one of my close friends read one of the early books, and her comment was, I admit, her words were, I admit the biblical references were very prominent,
Mhm.
and I don't know whether the character was informing me or her previous knowledge of the biblical character. And that's
Oh,
perfect. That's really why I did what I did. So, man, you picked on names right off the bat. That's important, at least in our world. And I chose a man named Bald Solomon. I put a lot of thought into who I wanted to be, the what it insinuated. I knew I didn't want to use my given name because my real reason is these books give guidance on very critical, important points in your life. And I didn't feel what gives me the right to give you that guidance. So I truly did want to tap into wisdom. So I remember I was sitting on the beach at the time, thinking through possibilities, thinking, who's the most wise people I could amplify. And King Solomon came to mind. So I chose that. Yet I didn't want to go too far down that path. I didn't want to be King Solomon. Okay. I can't be. Okay. So given these books are a combination of, I call them self-help fiction. So there's a combination of the wisdom
right.
with the story. And that's why I chose Bald. Bald is kind of a much more kind of a bold type. It implies action, it implies the story side of it. And yes, I am bald, so it kind of fit me. so
I love it.
so I became Bald Solomon. That's who I embrace. I really do. So
So I'm writing a book too. It's called Desperately Seeking Sophia.
okay. Oh, neat.
So Sophia is wisdom, right? And
Yep.
so in Solomon's book of wisdom, and there's in Proverbs 8, wisdom, Solomon says, the wisdom of God cries aloud, you, my God, created me when your purpose first unfolded, before the oldest of your works. From everlasting, I was firmly set, from the beginning, before earth came into being. And it goes on and on. And it literally is spoken as she. And that in the Gnostic Gospels is another thing that is pretty prominent over many of the Gospels, is that wisdom was the feminine aspect of God. And
Okay.
Proverbs 8:22, he speaks
It,
of wisdom as she.
and you're almost embodying that when you say. And what I like about that one is it's almost preordained. It was before you. Okay. That came about, and that's the powerful part of that, is recognizing that there's a path set forward for us, and our job is to discern that, to find that, to
Right.
to become that, if you will.
Yes,
So
I
mhm.
agree. I feel like
Yeah.
the more space you make, like the more you can grab that information, or it's available anyways for you to
It
get
it is.
it.
It
Mhm.
is. Yeah. I will admit, when I write these books, there is a guidance. There is a godly part to it and a
Mhm.
deeper part to it. Yet I don't. I'm not outwardly with it. I'm not preaching.
Right.
I'm not preaching to the choir. I'm really preaching for those who are ready, if you will. Okay, so it can be just a good story all by itself. It follows 4 generations of a family going through the hard things in life. Okay, and it's a great story. Yet, for those that are ready to be transformed or to take a next step, it sets the plate. It really does. That's what it does. It encourages you to ask questions. That's really how, at least my mechanism. So it's fun. It really is.
Path unguided, grieving your father's death. That's the only, parent I've lost so far, and I'm still grieving him very much,
Yes.
8 years later.
Yes. 8 years. Okay. I've got almost 30 on my dad died when I was only 31. And so of all the books, that's the most poignant for me, because it really happened long ago for me, that I could look through it with a different lens. I wasn't in the emotional side. It was more of the, what can I learn from this, and what advice would I give to somebody else? So for me, that was and is a very personal story.
There's so many stories in the Bible that are just amazing that haven't been told really or focused on. And many of
Yes.
them are about women, which is one of the reasons why I'm writing my book, is to give voice to the women. I mean, talk about some drama. You have a lot of war, you've got a lot of love. And so I love that you used them as referenced, and their stories go along with the theme.
Yes. So first of all, we're on a very similar path. When I think about the stories of the Bible, one caution I have is they're written through the eyes of the writer in a very different time. Okay, so when you bring up the female side of it, it was likely written by a male. Okay, through his biases of the time. An example I'll use: one of my major characters is Delilah, and she's modeled after Samson and Delilah. Well, one interpretation of Samson and Delilah, you could see Delilah as a very cunning individual that is working to overthrow the powers, if you will. But looking at it in a different way, she's almost a victim. She's almost one that is looking to see, how can I bring these warring factions together? Okay, so there's 2 very different ways to interpret that story, and both stories probably have some merit and basis.
Yes. I've been told by Rabbi Matthew Ponak, who I love to have on. He's like, I want you to redeem Lilith, which isn't even mentioned in the Bible, but I do want to redeem her, because how they have seen it from a distance, or being in it, maybe not even from a distance, I guess, is that she's like this, Adam's first wife, who was so defiant and thrown out into the sea, but yet was she just more of an independent, strong, like, I will not, be beneath you, we are equal, and was the first independent, strong warrior woman. It's almost like they see this defiance as negative. They may, especially for women, they weren't
Right.
obedient, right? But then I look at someone like Jesus, and I'm like, Jesus wasn't very obedient. In fact, he came to shake shit up, and he did the opposite of what a lot of people, I think, see him as. Let's just bring peace. He wasn't here for peace. He was here to break down those structures and the things that didn't serve people anymore.
So I love that line of thought. And in the end, one of my characters in the later books, which are not yet released, the major character is Zion, who's loosely based on the character of Jesus. Okay. And in this case, it is the shaking up, it is the ability to question status quo that is the power of Zion. It really is. Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Oh, I can't wait to read that.
Yes.
I really love this idea. I'm in fact, this is kind of stuff I think really can connect with people, but yet also make a difference in seeing things from a different perspective, because that's all it takes, is a little bit of shift, right? In how you see something.
Yes, it's exactly right. So in every case, I want you to enjoy the story. Just, it's just a story, yet there's an underlying message that if you're willing to connect with the characters, which is, they're very relatable, you'll care about what they're going through. And ultimately, as they transform, it invites you to question, could I or should I transform with them? It's always questioning. It always is. And for me, I believe I can impact people. I believe the reason I started down this journey is it's an ability to reach so many more people than I would otherwise. So it is transformational.
I
It's
love it.
fun process.
I love it.
Mhm.
So how much did you learn through doing this? Because I tell you what, I don't know if I'll ever end my book. This
Yeah.
is taking so long because I'm constantly still learning more. And then I kind of said, well, maybe I just need to stop with, I mean, it's either going to be like a Bible itself and be ginormous, or it'll
Yeah.
be a lifelong project, or I could make individual ones, which is kind of like what you did.
Yeah, in fact, I went through there's so many different things there. First of all, one of my writing mentors said, you can always make a book better. At some point, you have to print. Okay, so that was a reminder. Okay,
Yeah.
yet my journey has lasted decades, and only recently have I finally begun to publish. And my reason is I was trying to boil the ocean. I was trying to write the book of life. And when I finally created my current format, which is a slice of life, one after another, and that's truly what we do. We live in the moment. We live in today's slice. We don't have tomorrow, and yesterday's gone. So when I started looking at that, now I can write a short book. It's only 40,000 words. You can read it in 3 or 4 hours. I can produce another one every, call it twice a year. So I'm always writing, always engaging, and covering one more slice of life for you. So for me, that's what it took. That was just a shift change for me. I'm still writing the book of life, and I think I will forever. I really will.
Oh,
So
yeah. Well, it's that I think about even just leaving something for my children too, because, and I think you'll relate, what do we receive all of this wisdom for? Just ourselves?
mhm.
The lessons that we've learned as we grow older, and we need to pass on to the next generation, which is exactly what I think the Bible is.
Yes. Oh, no question. That is past the wisdom of the ages, and that is written down for those in the future. And you're right. I'm now of an age. I'm older than you. That I am considering what is my legacy. What have I left? I have one daughter. She's 35, and what have I helped her do or not do, or learn or not learn? And so, being able to have a vehicle that can um,
Yeah.
portray, can pass on some of the things that I believe in,
Mhm.
and hopefully help people beyond where I am. Okay, it really is. Legacy matters. It always does. Again, I'll go back. My very first book in the series, which also is not released,
Oh,
it focuses on Grandpa Mosey. And as he gets in, and you can guess who he might be modeled after. And as he gets later in life, he questions his value in life and what has he passed on.
wow.
And the rest of the series proves he did pass it on. The
Oh.
rest of the series, you see the shadow of Grandpa Mosey, and that gives us one way to think about what is our legacy, and that's why it's there.
Yeah, and I love that it's a way to kind of bring your story forward, because a lot of these are your own personal experiences, but it is also made into also a little bit of fiction, right?
It is. It's just a story. It's just fiction.
Yeah.
Yet earlier you asked me what I learned. What I came to appreciate is the universal nature of humans. Okay, I've never met you before today, but we've been through similar things in life. The transformational things that occur, um, meeting
Yes.
meeting your first love, getting married, having a baby,
Yeah.
having your first child, your dad dying. All these events are
Mhm.
common throughout time and space. And it was true in time the Bible was written, and it'll be true long after I'm gone. And so it's not just my
Not just
experiences;
yours.
it really is our experiences, and they're intended to be those universal moments where it
Everyone
carves
has
my life, it shapes my life, and it likely carved and shaped your life. It likely did. So
one thing that everyone can connect to is grief.
yes.
Again, and if you haven't grieved, you haven't loved. So it is that universal truth and that we
Yes.
all experience, as hard as it is, but it also is just love, you know?
It is. One quote I've seen attributed to Queen Elizabeth too is grief is the price we pay for love. And it truly is. You don't get one without the other.
One of the first things I saw on your website, I was like grieving your father's death. And, in moments like that, and there was so much synchronicity as I was looking through your
Mhm.
stuff. And I've been really looking forward to having you because,
Thank you.
I found Solomon's story. In fact, I talk a lot about him in my book because of Sophia. He was one of the people I
Yes.
was very curious of, like, why did he write so much about Sophia? And when
Mhm.
God said, if you will build me this temple for the ark, I will grant you any wish you want. And he wanted wisdom. Hey guys, sorry for the interruption, but have you ever dreamed of making a bigger difference and learning to help others heal and live their best lives? Well, this is your chance to become a certified atomic healing method medical intuitive with Amy Lee McCree, world-renowned medical intuitive with 24 years of experience, a six-figure business owner, and best-selling author of over 18 books. She has created a new certification program unlike anything else out there. The doors are open now. You can now discover how she works as a medical intuitive and talks to her clients' spirit guides to find the root causes of their imbalances and how to reverse engineer the best solutions, landing them in a greater place, joy, ease, and pleasure. Plus, you can heal yourself in the process, discover a new dynamic destiny, and align with your life's purpose. Your work can feel meaningful and challenging in the best way possible. The doors close on October 23rd. Don't miss this opportunity. Find the link to register in the show notes. Now back to our amazing guest.
I try to bring a common view to this.
Yeah.
So it meets the many. So when you talk about building a temple,
Yeah.
okay, there's a lot of ways to interpret building a temple.
Yes.
And you and I and others today are building temples, to honor our parents or to build the future, whatever that is. It's not always just a big, tall building on a hill. Okay,
Yeah.
a temple is much more than that. I encourage my readers to find those alternate meanings because in the end, okay, you and I have very similar wants, needs, ideas. Like we've read some of the same stuff. Not everybody has,
Right.
yet we still all have the same fundamental needs for a purpose. Okay, to understand why I'm here and why I do what I do. So I look for and I encourage my readers to find the alternate meaning that is right for them. Okay, because if I can meet them where they are, it'll work. And that's my goal for them. It may or may not be what I thought it was, but it could be wisdom. It could be Jesus. It could be a box somewhere. It could be a book. If it helps you get through your journey, it's doing its job. Okay.
That's
So I'm a person that when I read and when I write, I'm looking to how does it impact me and how does it impact the reader? So your interpretation may be very different than mine. And I encourage that, frankly, because I want you to get what you can out of it, whatever that is. You might get more than I will, but I want you to get what you can. That's where I like it.
Yeah, I think that's how the Gnostic Gospels come across to me.
Good.
It's beyond parables. It's more of
Mm-hmm.
those allegorical stories, and really, what it means to me means something totally different. I love that kind of stuff, like the Zen
Mm-hmm.
stories. Oh
Okay.
my God, I live for Zen stories. When they're some of the best ones. And actually, my dad used to tell stories like that, but they would be like old folk tales, you
Right.
know, they'd be super funny and they would rhyme and everything, but they had like this wisdom in it. But right here, the planet desperately needs more peacemakers, but it goes storytellers, right?
Nice.
Um, and
Yes.
that's also like handing down, the stories of the past of your own family and traditions.
Yes. I'm a believer that for me, it's easier to tell a story than to preach a lesson. Okay. And when I listen, what I remember is the story because they're typically then tied to emotion. And if you can make somebody feel, they will remember it then. Okay. So I'm a strong believer that a story well told is is worth 1,000 words. It really is.
Yeah. I've
Mhm.
always told people that, like, don't talk at your kids.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Hmm.
Listen to them first. But, share your own experiences. Like, that's for me, when you can relate to me is when
Hmm.
I can feel like we're connected. When
Yes.
you're talking at me, I feel like I'm less than, or I'm not good enough, or I'm, wrong or shamed.
Hmm. Yeah. Yes, that's right. And I think a lot of that's centered around empathy. If I can, one of Grandpa Mosey's, if you will, commandments is walk in their shoes. And so the idea is truly, if I can walk in your shoes, I'm much more likely to appreciate your challenges, understand and appreciate your current state, whatever that is. And whether you're right or wrong is not what's important. It's that's where they are. So it's my job to meet them where they are. So walk in their shoes. That's one way.
So how many books do you plan to write?
There's 20 in the series. I've got
Wow.
my fourth one comes out in a month, in September 3rd, and the
Mhm.
next ones are planned. They're not written, but I've got a plan thought through. So, and I'll tell you how I picked the 20 titles,
Mhm.
the 20 subjects. I did a lot of Google, a lot of research around the stressful events in life, the
Yeah.
shaping events in lives. And you know what? It's a list of around 20 things. You can include some or not, but I chose the things that are impactful. And then the challenge is to write a fun story, an action story, a good story centered around that event.
Yeah, let's talk about that. The wisdom and then action
Yes,
and then
yes.
transformation.
Transformation. That's the key. Yes. All of mine, well, I can deliver a message and I can create a good story, but unless there's a transformation, all I did was entertain. Okay.
Yeah.
What I really want to do is make a difference. So my goal is the main character always goes through a transformation in each book. Okay. And as doing so, the reader is encouraged explicitly almost to go through a transformation with them. So if they're ready, they will evolve in life. And in fact, moreover, the very last words in every book is a call to action for that very reason. I use the words exactly. It says, make it be so. So the goal, I've been setting this stage this whole way, and I've now set the plate for you to decide. And the very last words always are, make it be so. So the reader gets to choose. I ask you to choose, take a step, take one more step. And if we can do that, the books are worth it. That's why I do it.
I love that so very much. You said something earlier when you said we're all building our own temple. I had a dream that there was this like Jesus like figure and he was with like I would think his disciple, maybe
Okay.
maybe Thomas. I'll say Thomas. I don't know. I
Okay.
Thomas feel. Definitely not a Peter feel.
No.
They're like standing in front of this line of like all these people. It was almost like in my mind, it was like a food line or something, but they weren't handing
Right.
out food. They were handing out wood, like 4x4s, to build something.
To build
They were
something.
and they were only giving people a little bit per family or whatever.
Okay.
And the guy was like, "Why are you just giving our wood away? They're just going to go and take it for themselves." And this teacher, I didn't know for sure if it was Jesus, but he said, "Then they will not have built their seat in our temple."
Okay.
It kind of clicked with me because on a larger scale, there's like this individual journey and then there's like
Yes.
this collective journey, right?
Yes.
And but yet
It,
it is all one in many ways.
it is, that's a powerful dream you had there.
I know.
When you talk about building your own seat, we are doing that. Yet that implies there's a larger vessel that the seat is being built upon, whether it's a temple, whether it's an ark, whatever it is. But it really is both my seat and our seat, and it's that there's more there in the dream than I know. Okay, so that was a
Oh,
good one.
so
Hmm.
good. And it's just one of those things. It's just like any story told, you can find, wisdom all over it. Have you ever read The Alchemist?
Oh, of course. That's my favorite book of all
Me
time.
too. I even
Yes.
write about it in my preface because literally every time I read it,
Yes.
I get something totally different. So magical.
Yes. 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 If I could be the even at that stage, that is what this whole series is modeled over. The size of my books matched The Alchemist. The tone of my book, frankly, he was able to get what I'll consider the story of life into one book. It takes me 20. Okay, so yeah, that's a great story. And what I like about what you just said is the power of rereading it, because you're in a different place when you read it the next time, and you will get different. That's good. I've read it multiple times.
Yeah, it's so magical. And have you ever met Colin Holland, who publishing?
I have not. Have
Yeah,
you?
you should. Oh, yeah, several times actually. Yeah.
Very good.
So, and he actually was the first person to like look at the book, and then he wrote, his own version. Now, are you with who's publishing your book?
I'm self-published. I'm
Yourself?
self-published.
You are?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's been a fun journey on its own. Again, I set a lot of challenges for myself, and learning and understanding the writing and publishing business world is a completely different challenge than the artistic, creative side of creating the book. So it's a whole nother side of me. It's fun.
You should
Yes.
get picked. Maybe you'll get picked up by a big publisher.
Yep. I'm sure I could. I haven't tried, honestly.
Yeah.
I wanted to keep true to my vision, so I wasn't willing to let go. Okay, that's why I'm going down the path I am. So at some point I might, but right now the journey's worth it. Right now.
Oh, I
So,
love that. I just had on Mark Victor Hansen. He wrote the Chicken Soup of the Soul books.
sure. Yes.
Yeah, sold more, but he's in the World Book of Records.
For the most books sold. Yes, absolutely.
I should message him and say you should read his books. He would.
Yeah, do it for me. Yes.
I absolutely will.
I'd appreciate that. Yes.
Yeah.
There's a heavy overlap between readers of Chicken Soup for the Soul and the Path series.
I bet.
Because they're all short, easy to read. They deliver a focused message. There's multiples. Although different, his is based in real life stories.
Yeah.
Mine are fictional, but they're doing the same thing. They really are.
I think he would love this.
Yes.
I mean, I got some steps with publishers, but I can't
Yes.
get it out.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's up to you. How far along are you?
Well, I have enough for at least 3 books. So that's my problem,
Right.
is how to end and then
Yes.
start over.
I went through the same thing, and for me, it was changing the format, changing what the book looked like. It didn't change the message or the vehicle. It was how do I create something that I could get a slice out, and so you'll figure what yours belongs, and you'll get there.
And actually, it was a dream, but I saw 3 books, and I saw, and
Yes.
that when you put them all together, it made like a goddess figure.
So let me tweet. We have different vehicles, the same thing. So first of all, each of my books have a path on the front.
Yes.
Okay. And when you line up all 20,
No
I've got 4 in
way.
my hand, the same path will show up on your bookshelf, if you will. So your goddess is my path. Same thing, different vehicle.
Many of us are receiving a lot of the same creativity, ideas, messages, and just that strong importance, I guess, just to raise the consciousness of humanity and be there, for each other, and just show that I'm human, and so are you, right?
Yes, there's again, and you fully appreciate this. The humans are human. We have been for generations before us and generations after. So the emotion, the events, they're not new. They're only new to us. That's what we learned. So
what, people are people. So what could it be? But you and I should get along so awesomely.
Okay. So
right?
I hope your book goes better than your song.
Yeah, me too. Boom, boom, boom. Who said, was that Depeche Mode? Who was that?
I don't know that one.
Yeah. Oh, I love that song. Yeah. People are people, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. And even me as a mother, as a young mom, I tried to put a smile on when I was stressed or emotionally holding everything in. And finally, I just was like, I couldn't do it anymore. It turned into pain,
Yeah.
And so that's when I just start saying, guys, life is hard.
Yeah. And be open to help. My next book I mentioned is Embracing Your First Child, Path Enriched, Embracing Your First Child. And that is the underlying message that it takes a village. It's trite, but it's not. It really is your child. You have the large influence, yet the people you surround yourself with and entrust your child's care to have a formative role in their lives. So there's no shame in me saying I want and need help. I think you're doing your family and your children doing a service, frankly.
Yeah, except for when I had my few choice words that I screamed out of craziness.
That's where the editor comes into play. Some things you forget 10 years later. Okay. That part you just forget.
Right. But I have a client too. He and his wife have been struggling to have a child for so long. So
Okay.
long. And this is a very common thing right now, because of all the hormones that we're intaking,
Right.
all the things
Mm-hmm.
that are toxic in our environment. And, I actually, him and I talked a lot about, in the Bible. This is
Okay.
something that, many times, the stories of like Elizabeth and even
Elizabeth, right.
and
Mm-hmm.
even Mother Mary's mother, Anne,
Okay.
even though this story isn't in the Bible, it's an apocryphal text, it's in the Quran, it's even in a Gnostic text, her entire story of her mother too. And it was always them praying and being visited by an angel. It seems like those stories are just coming back into right now. So I think this is so fun what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So fun.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
am
Well,
excited. I
yeah.
want all of them.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Each one I write and release. I think that's the best one yet. Every
Yeah.
time I get so excited and so appreciative of really getting into the moment with this situation, with this
Yeah.
character, with whether it's, as simple as finding a new job, starting a new job, has all this new beginnings that allow you to almost, I call it path reborn, because when you start a new job in this example, you really are rebuilding a new life. That segment of you is being redefined, and actively doing it in ways that you can be proud of later, that are true to your values, true to your long-term mission, is part of what I ask you.
Carl Jung wrote a book about a guy that lost everything and then the devil
Job.
attempted Job.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
God, I
Mm-hmm.
love that.
Yes.
I
Right.
love the book of
Yes.
Job.
Yes. And so you're picking did you read my books already? Because one of
No,
the main characters is Job. Okay.
that's a really good one, that story.
Yes. Yeah. It reminds you that one, nothing is promised. Okay. It reminds you of what you think is necessary may or may not actually be necessary. And the actions you take moving forward is the only thing I can control. It really is. So make it be so.
Can't wait to read your book. So tell me, how
Yep.
many do you have out now?
The four, I've Path Unguided, Grieving Your Father's Death. I have Path Blocked, Overcoming Unemployment.
Oh, that's a good one. A lot of people.
It is. There's all kinds of emotion around insecurity that you have
Yeah.
to overcome. You're getting messages from the world that may not match what you really want. Okay. I mentioned earlier, Path Reborn, starting a new job, and then Path Enriched, embracing your first child. And this one almost has a mystical quality to it. Of all the other ones, this has you'll appreciate this one. I've only known you for an hour now, but you've got an understanding of things beyond, and this has that one has that. It really does.
Yeah. Oh, very
Mm-hmm.
cool. Yeah, and especially because I'm such a mother. I mean, I have four kids from 27 to 12. So
Wow. Okay,
I'm
you're
gonna
way
be a
ahead of
mother
me.
forever.
Yes.
Forever
Well,
mother. I'm the forever mother.
there's worse things in life than that. You're blessed.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
nice.
Well,
Yep.
Solomon, thank you for
Yeah.
coming
Hey, thank you. And then for your viewers, where I always finish my books, this has been a great talk, but unless they put it to action, it was just entertainment. So I want it to be meaningful. So I ask you out there, wherever you are, make it be so.
Make it be so. I love
Yes.
that. Well, thank you so much.
Very good.
Hey, tell everybody where they can go to find you and to get
The easiest way is to Google Bald Solomon. I'm at baldsolomon.com. I've got Facebook has been really blowing up at Facebook/Bald Solomon. Amazon is Bald Solomon. So if you Google Bald Solomon, you'll find me.
All right. Thanks so much. So nice to meet you.
Hey, you too, Shanna. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Sense of Soul podcast, and thanks to our special guests for joining me. If you want more of Sense of Soul, check out my website at www.mysenseofsoul.com, where you can work with me one-on-one or help support Sense of Soul podcast by donating to my coffee fund. Thanks for listening.